Hi, welcome to the Snickerdoodle Chronicles. I know that sounds like such a weird title, but let me explain the preface for that. When you look at the recipe for a Snickerdoodle, in order for it to be finished and actually be considered a Snickerdoodle, it has to be cracked, like it has to be crumbled on the top. It has to have these little fissures and crystallized sugar in order to be finished. And I thought, how incredible is that for a recipe? Like that says it's finished. That says it's ready to go. It can be sold, eaten, all of these things, right? And in life, how many times do we have things that come up that crack us? It bends us. It causes us to second guess ourselves. But maybe that's what God called the recipe to have. We had to go through these fissures, through these breaks, through these cracks in order to be finished. Like, I want to bring that to the surface. I want people to have a safe space so that they can understand sometimes all of these things that encompass our journey are what make us human. We all have a story to tell. We all have life experiences. We all have things that we've been through that we never expected to necessarily, one, have to go through it in the first place, but two, not only survive it, but thrive through it. Like to come out better than we ever anticipated. And that's what I want to do with the Snickerdoodle Chronicles. My name's Shay Renee, and I am the mother of two beautiful, intelligent children. I live in Birmingham, Alabama. I grew up in Herndon, Virginia. And, it's kind of a different world down in the South than growing up in Northern Virginia, where there's tons of convenience, tons of things. Everything that's everything is in Herndon, and you can get it at a snap of a finger. Where in Birmingham, Alabama, even though there's a lot of convenience, there's a lot of things, it's not so close, if that makes sense. So I want to create a space here and talk about some things. So throughout this podcast, I plan on inviting some, personal friends. I plan on finding some people who I've never met before. I just want to see what their experience is. The title of this one is gathering your ingredients, and that's just, an analogy. Okay, so in life, we I'm a mother. I was married. I'm divorced. All these went in the pot. They're still who I am. I'm adopted. That's in the pot. But when we're an adult and we're unpacking a lot of these things, did we really look at our recipe? Like, did we really think that these were actually ingredients to what makes our character? Because I think some people don't think about that. They think, oh well, okay, she was adopted, but she has a good family, so that immediately takes it off the recipe list. When it doesn't, the ingredient list is still the ingredients. I'm still adopted. I still have moments where I'm triggered, but my triggers are my responsibility. So in order for me to have a successful life, I have to acknowledge that. I have to accept that. When I thought at some points, I was like, oh well, if I don't tell anybody I'm adopted, if I don't talk about it, it goes away. Guess what? Doesn't go away. I being divorced, the guilt I felt because I'm ending this relationship. I'm putting my children in a statistical home now with a single parent. I'm in a place where what what is going to happen? Like, what's going to happen to them? Are people going to look at me different? Are people going to treat me different? I felt it was this big red letter, like the scarlet letter. I thought everybody that looked at me thought I was divorced. I thought everybody that looked at me thought I was a failure. I didn't tell my family for almost a year because being in my family, my parents been married for a very long time, and I felt unsuccessful. I felt like a failure. I felt scarred. I felt cracked. Um, with my children, I didn't know how to approach it. I mean, I had a young child, and I had a newborn, and I'm approaching this change in life that again I'm making independently of anybody else, but I had to do it. I had to change what was happening because the cycle that I was in was so destructive that if I didn't change it, what else would I have been adding to my kids' ingredient list? Like, we as moms, as families, we have to think about that. Like, they talk about generational trauma. Okay. So let's break that down. Generational trauma is described as trauma that has been passed down. Okay? Cool. I accept that. But think about this. What if the generational trauma that was passed down was really just kind of inflicted in in natural instances? Your grandmother had a child young. Then she had your mom. Then your mom had you young. And then you had a child young. And then here you are saying, I want to break generational curses. So I'm going to tell my daughter to abstain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes don't you think that might push her? Oh, well, you did it. I could do it. I think if we take away the stigma and the sting of what these traumas are, our children will learn, okay, yeah, my mom did get divorced when we were really young. She did that to change the course of our life, the trajectory of where our successes would be. So let me appreciate that and embrace it and see it as a factor of, okay, I don't have to be a statistic. I don't have to go there. I think that when people put all of these shameful attachments to things, we stay there. Like, because society says it, right? Society says divorce is shameful. Society says that adoption is kind of weird. Who wants to take on someone else's problems? But a lot of it is the fear of the unknown. We as a society are conditioned to know that the unknown, we're supposed to be afraid of it. And I'm a Christian, so the Bible says that I shouldn't have a spirit of fear. So what if we can condition our families and our communities to take the fear out of everyday life? Wouldn't that be awesome? Like, if we could just take that fear, stigma, shame, guilt, banish that, cancel that. Like, we want to have a cancel culture, right? Let's cancel fear. Let's cancel uncertainty. Let's cancel instability. Let's cancel all those things. Because just because you may have had a child out of wedlock, just because you're divorced, just because um you love who you love, just because you have chosen an alternative lifestyle, it doesn't mean that you should live your life in shame. And I want to create a community. I want to create a place where people understand that. And I'm going to base all this, I'm going to draw all this from personal experiences because the only person I can talk about is me, right? Can't stand it. Don't you hate it when you get into an argument with somebody and they're like, oh, well, A, B, and C did this, or John, Harry, and Dick did that. We ain't talking about them. We're talking about me. We're talking about you. We have to start taking accountability. Of course, my experiences are from the Black experience, first and foremost. And I'm so thankful to be Black. I'm so excited to be Black. I love being a Black woman. Like, there's nothing more that I love than Black culture. I think we're hilarious. I think we're so creative. I think we are top tier. Like, there's nothing better than being a Black person. I have a preference being a woman. You know, little little Black children are the most beautiful creations that God could have ever given the earth. And and all humans, all creations are of course made in the divine beauty of God. But I have a preference. I have a little Black girl, I have a little Black boy, and they're creme de la creme to me. Um, so let's get back to this ingredient list. So, okay. So the ingredient list. And the good things, you want to have the good things. Like, I am educated. I do have both of my parents still. I have a brother and a sister who have two beautiful boys. My nephews are incredible. I have a great family support system. Um, I have an incredible job and support system there. And I'm building a community and I'm building my name up to be a resource to people, to find things, to help people if they're looking for something. I'm now in the nonprofit world where I was in hospitality for so long. And hospitality is always going to be my heart. I mean, that's if you know me and if you've ever worked with me or if you've ever been to something with me, oh yeah, Shay's gonna throw on a party or she's gonna do an event. And I'm gonna do it to the T's or to the nines, as they say, because that's my love, that's my passion. That's what I love to do. And now being in the nonprofit world and helping people with disabilities, I I see a joy in such a different way because even though I'm still helping people, it may not be feeding them or taking care of them in the sense of like, service. I'm still serving them. I'm still, if someone calls and says, "Oh, I can't find housing or I can't find food or I can't find this or that," and then I can find a resource for them. Or they call me back and say, "Hey, Shay, you helped me with this." And I followed through and I was able to get it. That's the most incredible feeling. Like, it's the most incredible feeling giving back, having a servant heart, because that's what the Bible calls us to do. Jesus was a servant. He, his grace and God's grace for us is a service. Without it, we'd be nothing. Without his mercy, we'd be nothing, right? So how about we extend some of that to people? I'm guilty. I am a grudge holder. I can admit that I am a grudge holder. And I used to be so proud about it. I'd be like, "Oh, well, I'll just ignore you and never talk to you again." And how many times have I done something and God didn't do that to me? He didn't turn his back. He didn't say, "Oh, Shay, well, let me show you how much I can make you suffer and ignore you." And that's something that's tough to swallow because as a human, we have the desire to be right, to be in charge, to feel that kind of when someone does something wrong, to grovel and and to have them apologize, to succumb and to be submissive. Even if you're not a man, you still have the desire for people to be submissive at times. Um, so I had to start realizing that one of my ingredients wasn't the best ingredient to have in my on my recipe list. It wasn't the best because if my children behave this way, then am I raising them in the way that I was designed to raise them, that God requires me to raise them? If I did something to them and then they held a grudge against me and they were so proud of themselves, would I what would I do? I would crumble, right? Uh Not just grudge holding, being in a relationship where you know that you shouldn't be in there anymore. And I remember very distinctly, like when I found out that I was having a little girl, that was it. it was it was then. It was then that I said, if she behaves in this manner and comes to me and says, "Well, mom, I don't see the problem. You did it." If my son treated someone's daughter in this manner and then the girl came to me and said, "Oh, Miss Shay," or if Xander said, "Oh, something happened and it got out of hand and this happened," what would I do? It's my fault. I have to take. What did I say in the beginning? We got to take accountability. So it's my fault because if I model this behavior for my children, I can't expect them to do much better, right? So yeah, so we have to consciously think, consciously be aware of what we're mirroring, like what we're setting an example for. And again, I know that it's also a thing of, do as I say, not as I do, but that's always not available. I hate to say it that way, but it's not always available. And I'll give you an example. So I'm a yeller. I can admit it. I'm a yeller. So um I'll shout up the steps, "Xander, come on, get ready for school." And I'm like, "Hey, come on, let's go." Then when Xander yells to Lennox, his sister, "Hey, Lennox, let's go." And I'm like, "Stop yelling at her." What? That's the face I get, right? I get the face of a little boy who has just been told something and he yelled. So when he mirrors it and yells to his sister, oh, here mom is, And again, these things happen. This is part of child rearing. I'm learning. And wow, How awesome is it though that I serve a God that will show me something immediately like that? Another example, uh, it's how many moms can say that they get off work, have to come home, have still help with homework, have to get their toddler situated. The toddler wants to help the bigger sibling with homework. You still got to get dinner together. You still got to get their clothes ready. You know, there's just so many things on a family in the evening time, and it's like time is ticking. Time is ticking. The sun's going down. You can see it's getting dark. You know these kids are hungry. Everybody's a little irritated because they're hungry. It kind of gets out of hand. So then you try to set the kid up to do homework. And now I don't know how many people's kids are using the devices for homework, but my kid had to use a device. And sometimes that stuff's a little confusing, but because I'm tired, right? I want to go and sit, take a break while I'm either cooking or have gotten the toddler fed. And then when he says, I need your help, and I say, oh, you got it. Or, hey, mom, I need you. Can you come sit with me? But then I say to him, you don't need my help. You know how to do it. Shameful. And I'm admitting it because it's shameful. We tell our children, if you need me, I'm here to help. If you need something, come tell me. If there's something wrong, come tell me. Like we're harping this, we're harping this, we're harping this. And so then when the time comes that they need us, we push them away. Not intentionally. Like I'm not saying anybody's intentionally pushing their child away. I'm saying that mom's tired or dad's tired. And in that moment, you're like, ugh, again, you need me again. But then I have to, again, piggyback and think about the recipe. Who created the first recipe? God doesn't say that to us. There's never a time when he's too tired for us. There's never a time when he has pushed and pushed and pushed and then he's given enough because then existence is over, right? So we have to be in a space where we're conscious, like we're conscious. Xander told me one day, he said to me, you never play with me, mom. And I'm like, I went on a rampage. I said, Xander, I cook, I clean, I take you to the movies, I take you to school every day. Nowhere in that list did I say I play with him. And he doesn't need me to get on the floor and play with him. He doesn't need me to roll. You know, he needed me in that moment he wanted to know. Oh, nothing's more important than me. And how important is that? So, because I'm sure if you look at your ingredient list, because my love language is acts of service. That's what we all want to know. There's nothing more important than me to whomever in this moment right now. So if no one's told you, and if no one has said it, I want you to know in this moment right now that you are so important. You are so worthy. You are so loved. And I know that it's exhausting. I know that there's times when it just seems like it won't stop. Like I know that. I feel it. But it will. It'll get better. There's peace. There's peace in the chaos at times. Um, just like they say, in the eye of the storm, there's peace. And a lot of times we have to take the time intentionally to make peace, to find peace, to do some self-care, to love on ourselves, things like that. Maybe make some snickerdoodles. Name drop. um, yeah, and a lot of time our motive for things may feel selfish, but if you don't take care of you, if you don't pour into you, how are you going to pour into all the people that depend on you? We, as women, as family matriarchs, as patriarchs, are required by society to show this strength and this regality. But if you look at the definition of royals and the status and the time and the grooming that takes to get them to that status, it's a lot. And you're worth all of that a lot. Like you're worth all of it. Like you're worth so much of it. And so now, if we can start to understand and deconstruct all like what the whole is and break it down, building that whole up and keeping that whole together won't be so hard. Um, and I am a work in progress. I think I'm like two works in progress, like just simultaneously. Because I got to work on Shay as a mom. I got to work on Shay as Shay. Like, and what better place to do it than with people who understand who are going through the same thing. Um, I'm just so thankful. I'm thankful for this space. I'm thankful for um the time and the effort. I'm doing this for myself because I have some things to say, and I want to turn my mess into my message. I want to make sure that when I leave and when I'm done and when I'm standing at the end of time, I know I used up my gifts. I know I said what I needed to say. And I know that the purpose that I was put on earth for was done. It's really that simple. Um, I have to live for me. A lot of my that was my other one of my other ingredients. It was I'm doing everything for my kids. And while yes, I am doing it for my kids, where did I come into that picture? Where did my importance come into that? Like how a lot of times you get lost in what are you doing it for? What are you doing it for? You're doing it for A, B, and C. You're doing it for, all these other reasons. And I realized, oh, I need to do it for me. Like I need to do it because I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be heard. I deserve to know what I say is valued, whether it's valued by 3 people or 300,000 people. It's valuable. So I hope that in this journey, and I hope that, in the coming episodes, we have some wonderful guests coming up, like some incredible business owners, entrepreneurs, like all kinds of stuff. And I hope that it shows everybody that everyone has a story. There's so much shame again associated with trauma or pain and things like that. But I want people to see like even in the midst of someone having the worst day of their lives, the worst month of their lives, the worst life of their life, I'm sure there's a moment where they laughed. There was a moment where they remembered a good time. There's a moment where someone said something to them and it made everything better. So I'm looking forward to this. I hope that you out there are looking forward to it too. And I this is my first time recording something like this, so I'm excited, but I hope that that I get better as we go because it's been a while. So, I hope that you like and subscribe at the Snickerdoodle Chronicles, and I hope that everyone is excited to open up the pantry and see what we can get because there's so much to be said, there's so much to be done, and if there's anything that anyone needs, or like I said, since I did mention resources, you can leave a comment, you can send a message, And I look forward to next time.